All right, y'all, what it do? We are back. Episode 7, Heart Rate Challenge. I feel like it was a little early for this, but I mean, we got it. It's here. Um, Sydney. Yeah. Yeah, y'all probably thought the same thing I did, but we'll get to it. But if you're new here, hit subscribe. Do it. It's free of charge. Free of charge. We're on the road to 15K. We are super close to 13K. So join the party. Thumbs up the video. Free of charge. The easiest thing to do to help me out. It helps me out in so many ways. Also, get in the comments down below. Go ahead and let me know what y'all think. Share the video. Do all of that. And yeah, let's get into this. All right, so we get back where we left off, which was Mert and Solène. They're gone. Lucinda is upstairs crying to Kendall, and he's pretty much trying to talk her up and whatever. And her tears dried up real quick. I will say that. But she tells us that it's just shit because the journey literally got cut short with her and Mert. And she says it wasn't meant to be. If y'all haven't seen it on social media, Mert put together some letter pretty much like professing his love for her, which is crazy to me after a week. But I mean, I guess he a lover boy for real, but I don't know. But we'll see. But she's talking about it's meant to be. He said it's meant to be if she comes out of the villa and is not with him, or if she comes out and wants to be with him, it's meant to be. Whatever it is whatever it is. But Nicola and Isaiah, they're in the speakeasy and they're happy to still be there. Y'all shouldn't be still there, but okay. But Nicola, she's crying because she was super close to Solène and she's essentially gone at this point. But Nicola thought that they were gonna go, and like I said, I feel like they should have. But KK and Tyler Perry, they're in soul ties, and he's sitting there talking about how he don't feel good about what happened with the elimination. And she was like, yeah, it sucks. We did good in the challenge. I mean, they did good in the challenge, talking about Solène and Mert. They did good in the challenge, and we basically got them sent home, basically. And she's like, but regardless, I mean, it would have been sad regardless of who it was at this point. And she was like, I mean, we just got to keep dominating because essentially we're going to be the first target because they already see how well we performed already. Now, he then claims that he doesn't want to get his feelings involved, and he tells us this in his confessional, and he doesn't want to get his feelings involved to prevent him from getting the money. Chris, we know you're here for the money. It's clear you need the money. That's why you keep pumping it. But he's like, I mean, we can deal with the love after. There's not going to be any love after. That's the whole point. But she then asked him, does he feel like they've gotten closer since winning the challenges and whatever? And he's like, yeah. And she's like, I agree. But he can't even make eye contact with her. Like a lot of this conversation, he was looking straight ahead and she's sitting there looking up at him and he's sitting there not even looking at her. Y'all got to pay attention to body language. But Toby and Tyrique, they are sitting down and Ty ends up asking how his chat was with Andrea. And Toby said the conversation was dying essentially and he went in for the kiss. And Ty daps him up because that's what Tyrique told him to do. And he was like, was the kiss good? And Toby was like, yeah, the kiss was good and long. And Toby tells us like the kiss was everything that he wanted it to be and more. But Toby then tells Tyrique as well that he really ain't seen Tyrique moving around in this villa. I'm like, you ain't really seen him moving around. Tyrique has been the most active out of everybody in the villa. He's actually been doing what he's supposed to do. He might be doing a little bit too much, but he's doing what he's supposed to do. But Ty says he needs Justine because he's sitting over there and she waving at him. And which KK, you about to get yourself caught. That's all I'm going to say. But Justine and Tyrique, I'm about to explain. I'm here for it. But Tyrique then says that he needs Justine, and Toby was like, yeah, she'd be a good competitor for you too, because she's good. And he's like, that's why I like her. I said, that's why you like her, because she's a good competitor? But we'll see. But Johnny and Andreina, they're at the dock now. Y'all, I feel like Johnny might have actually changed. I don't know. Because Johnny ain't as messy as he used to be. Maybe it's still early, but like, he ain't really moving and grooving like that. Normally, Johnny, even though he's in a couple, Johnny will be talking to every single girl out there, like macking on them hard. He ain't really been doing that yet. Maybe the girls in there right now, besides Andreina, are not really turning his head. I definitely thought he would have probably tried to see what was up with Andrea, but he hasn't really. But looking at that energy he gave her in the challenge, I don't know. Maybe we'll see something in the future. But yeah, Johnny looked like a low-key a different Johnny, honestly, if you asking me. But he tells her that he feels great. They start off kissing again. But then they start talking about how like the remainder that they can't put themselves in the remainder of the competitions and the rest of this stuff going on, they can keep putting themselves in a position to be vulnerable like they were. But essentially that's gonna fall on Andreina because we already know Johnny gonna pull his weight and he's gonna pull hers too, but she definitely gonna have to help contribute because it's a dual effort at this point because y'all are a team. But Johnny says, like, I came in here initially wanting to win, but it's kind of cool that we actually got to really see what was up with us. Like, we finally were coupled up together. We're kind of like forced to be here. So we finally get to see if there's something that could have possibly been something outside. And we can see what works inside and outside of the challenges. She's sitting there eating it up. She's giddy. She loves hearing that. You can tell this girl. It's crazy how Andreina is on here compared to how she was on season 7, which is crazy too, considering that was literally what, a month and a half ago, 2 months ago. It's like two different people. Like on season 7, I feel like Andreina moved like a bombshell. I feel like in here she moves like a Kayla, like a lover girl. Like anybody showing her attention, she gets giddy, and I'm like, that's interesting. But she starts giggling and stuff. When he ended up telling her too that he was excited to go to bed with her, and guess what? They start tonguing each other down. But Tyrique and Justine, this is probably my favorite scene of the entire episode. They're in the speakeasy, and she ends up asking him how he's feeling, and he said happy, obviously. So he's sitting there smirking like he putting it on her. He putting it on her, and it's funny because Tyrique is trying to run game on Justine, and Justine knows what he's doing, and she playing back with him, and he knows that she playing back with him too. You could tell Justine definitely wants to like flirt with him, but she knows Tyrique is trouble, and Tyrique knows that she knows that he's trouble, which is the funniest part. But she talks about how essentially he looked like he was nervous, pretty much waiting on the votes to be revealed. And he was like, yeah, I didn't want to go home yet because I still got people to see and people to cuddle. And she starts laughing. He starts laughing. And she's like, what kind of people? Who are those type of people? And he said, the person I'm sitting next to, the one that I booked this place for, talking about the speakeasy. And he's talking about her. And he then says, like, she gives him mixed signals. And she was like, I mean, I'm hard to read. And she said, like, you got your options out here too. Like, you got KK, you got Andreina, and you're all over the place. She ain't lying. She pretty much calling him out. Like, you got all these different options at this point. Like, what you want me to commit to? But he said, so why are you so cautious? I'm nice to you. And she was like, I mean, I see you chatting, which, I mean, it's okay, but that's why I'm more careful. And she then says, too, I'm just taking notes from my past experiences. I'm glad you are. I'm glad you are, which is why I hope if you do get to the end of this game yet again, and you get that envelope, you better take that money. That's all I'm saying, Justine. I told you on Love Island Games. And I wasn't on YouTube at this point, but I was on Twitter. Even though she didn't get the card for season 2, if she got that envelope for season 2, she should have stolen that money, because a lot of y'all got fooled by Caleb. I saw Caleb for what he was. I did. But when she says I'm taking notes from my past experiences, Tyrique being Tyrique, he says, I'm not your past. Like, this is a whole new experience. I'm different. He said, you ain't fuck with a guy like me. When I tell you I died laughing because he was laughing and she was laughing, like they know what he was doing, and it was so funny. But Justine says that she would have a time with Tyrique. She's telling us this in her confessionals. And she's like, I just got to remember I'm here for the money first. But you can tell she's enjoying his attention that he's giving her. But he ends up asking like what she loves about him. And she's like, I love the way you dress. I love your eyelashes. I love your smile. I love your tattoo. She keeps going and going and going. And guess what? Tyrique is eating it up. And he's like, you sit here making a black man blush. She's like, that's good. That's good. That's the goal. I was cracking up. That scene was funny, which is what kind of sold me on them too. Serious, not going to happen. It's not going to be serious. It's not going to work outside of the show. I'm telling y'all, you got to look at these shows. Well, not these shows. This particular show, Love Island Games, you got to look at it for what it is. When I say I'm rooting for these couples, I'm rooting for them on the show. Like, these two would be fun to watch together. KK, Tyrique done moved to Justine. Oh boy, Tyler Perry is seemingly trying to move with Nicola, which we know that's not genuine. But KK too busy trying to focus on Tyler Perry to where she getting caught up in the game too. But it's wild. But it's time for bed. And Tyler Perry comes to check up on Nicola, and they agree to go talk tomorrow. And when he leaves, she's sitting there jumping up and down and stuff with Garbi and Andreina. And he leaves, and she's sitting there thinking, like, it's just funny watching how him just going up there and just talking to her just had her that super giddy, because she really ain't had no attention in there, which I hated because it's clearly performative. But Andrea tells Garbi that Toby had pretty much kissed her, but she was thinking about Josh the whole time. Now, Justine then tells them that Tyrique was also putting in work, and Garbi ends up asking, like, were you feeling it? And she's like, I mean, he's so unserious. It's kind of like, you really don't know what to do. But she's like, I mean, it's good. But Garbi says, I'm glad that you clocked that he's unserious. But it was funny, too, because when they are all laying in the bed, Tyrique was laying in the bed with Justine at one point, but eventually he got back to his other bed. But notable moments when they were sleeping, Justine and Josh were in there kissing. I said, what's going on? What is going on? But everybody's waking up the next day, and Johnny is telling Tyrique that him and Andreina really don't have the best shot at winning unless he's pretty much carrying the team. And Tyrique was like, yeah, you got to stop kissing her, aka like go find somebody else. But Garbi, she's telling Justine to essentially give Tyrique a chance because he's genuinely a good guy at the end of the day, even though he played him games. But Tyrique, he's making Justine breakfast, and Josh is down there with him, and Josh is making her a tea. And Tyrique ends up asking, like, can I take that tea up there with me when I take that breakfast? But Toby got Andrea breakfast. Tyrique got Justine. Josh made Lucinda breakfast. Kendall is up there making pretty much a breakfast date for him and Garbi up in Soul Ties. But Johnny brings Andreina breakfast. Now, Kendall and Garbi. She comes up the stairs eventually, and she looked good. She looked real good. And he walks her over to Soul Ties and tells her, like, we haven't really been on a date at this point. Like, this is kind of my version of doing that. Good for you, Kendall. I don't believe you, but good for you. At least he's doing something. But he tells her how beautiful she looks, and she's blowing him away. So he then tells her that he's really glad that they're doing it together, and they start getting to know more about each other. She ends up asking him, like, what event in your life has actually had the most impact on you? And he talks about his parents' divorce, which has created trust issues for him, which we know that to be true because this is the second time he's mentioned divorce as an issue for him. So she tells us that they're progressing at a point to where she actually feels like she is scared because she's actually starting to like him. I said, get him out of there because she gonna end up being hurt at the end of the day. Don't fall for that bullshit, Garbi. I'm telling you. But Josh and Andrea, they're working out, and he starts talking about, like, watching her being emotional last night kind of got to him. So she then says, like, it just makes you realize how bad you actually really want to be here whenever you're at the potential of possibly going home. But he then tells her that he sometimes can't get a read on her and would like 100% transparency, essentially, between the two of them. So she takes it upon herself to tell him that Toby kissed her yesterday. And he looked deflated. If you asking me, when she said that, he looked deflated. You could tell, like, the energy kind of got popped out of him. But she then tells him, like, the kiss was good, but it made her appreciate and value the things that she loves about Josh and just wanted him to hear that, essentially. And he says he appreciates her honesty, and he said that he's not going to knock her for it. Now, in the moment, I don't know why it didn't clock in the moment, but later on it clocked. Josh could have told her in this moment that he kissed Justine, but we'll get to it. But Nicola, she goes to go talk to Tyler Perry. And I'm like, shouldn't he have been the one going to pull you? But I digress. But this right here is a telltale sign who's really more interested in who. And what did I tell y'all? The woman that's more interested in the man, it's never going to work. It's never going to work. But KK's sitting there looking. So Chris tells her that she looks good. And she's like, I mean, I like your curls. And he tells her that he was worried about her last night, which is why he went to go check up on her. And she was like, that was sweet. I feel better today. So he starts telling her that her English was getting better and has gotten better. And she's like, I mean, it's always been good. It's just some words that just sound like where I'm from. So she starts speaking in her language and kind of speaking to him and teaching him. And he starts shouting it across to Kendall. Now, the thing is, Kendall is standing in front of Garbi and KK, like literally right behind him. And in my opinion, I feel like he shouted that shit over to Kendall to get KK's attention to see that he's over there with Nicola learning that shit to get her jealous. That's my perspective. That's what I felt. But Chris tells Nicola that he's here to win. We know. How many fucking times you gonna talk about it? But he says he's open to getting to know someone. And if KK wasn't here, he'd be all up on her. I said, is she supposed to be excited about that? But she was crazy, which proves that she must not be used to getting attention because that is not something to be jumping up and being giddy about. But I also found it funny, too, because didn't he state a couple episodes ago that Justine basically was his number one or number two or at this point, or at least wanted to get to really know her like that? Yet you said if KK wasn't here, you will be all up on Nicola. That's a lie. You'd be trying to push up on Justine, but you probably might be telling the truth now because Justine ain't gonna be chasing after you. And that's what you want. You want a woman to chase after you. This one, Nicola, is proof that you see why everything is making sense now. He's sitting here entertaining Nicola because Nicola saw him out. He didn't go seek her out. Crazy. But Garbi, she's asking KK how she feels about Chris and Nicola having this chat. And she's like, I mean, I'm not crazy about it, but he's a hot commodity. I said, who said that? Who said that? Him? But she then says that she can only expect others to be attracted to him. I'm like, okay. But Kristen tells Nicola that if she plans on coming to, it's like he ends up asking her if she plans on coming to the States before the year is over. And she's like, yeah, I mean, if I do, it'll be around Christmas because she loves Christmas. So he asked her, what would you get me for Christmas? I said, what would you get her? Like, I would have said, what would you like for Christmas? Like, what are the things that you like? What would you get me? Okay, Chris. It don't work. It don't look good. Considering the fact that you want these women to chase after you, that you want her to give you gifts, but you ain't really asking her about what she would want. These niggas nowadays. But Nicola, she tells him that she likes him. Well, she tells us that she likes him even more after the conversations, and their conversations flow. And it shows that he genuinely wants to get to know her. I said it's performative. I don't know about it being genuine. But he starts sitting there telling her that he likes looking at her. Same shit. Same shit. Didn't he say that to Justine and KK? And she was like, yeah, I feel the same. I said, it's just fake. Fake. And to the Chris fan that got in my comments asking why everybody hates Chris, first of all, I don't hate anybody. Especially nobody that I don't know. But I damn sure I don't care for Chris. And I've literally told you every episode why I don't care for him. Like, don't ask me a question as to why I don't like somebody when I literally tell you why I don't like them. Like, come on. Just say that you like him and you want everybody else to. I'm pretty sure there's people out here that do. I'm just not one of them people. But she tells him that he's been her day one, her number one from day one. And he gives her some hug, and it's like very platonic. But Josh and Justine, they end up walking by Tyrique and Toby, and Tyrique is telling him to keep his hands to himself. But Justine and Josh go over to the dock, and they're talking about Andrea pretty much telling him about her and Toby kissing, and it made her realize that she actually liked him. Now, he didn't tell Justine that he didn't tell Andrea about the two of them kissing in the bed. And I was like, yeah, you were sitting here talking about wanting to be transparent. But Justine ends up stating that she wanted to talk to Josh about that and asked him, like, how did you really feel about that? And he was like, I was pleasantly surprised. And she says the same. Interesting. But he then says, like, you was backing that thing up on me. So at that point, like, wait, what's he supposed to do? What's he supposed to do? And she was like, yeah, it was a nice little cuddle. But he then says that he should probably tell Andrea to make sure that she's aware of everything that's going on. And Justine was like, yeah, I must have been in my feelings. She was telling us this. She must have been in her feelings, and Josh just feels safe. And it was a moment with somebody that that was unexpected. And she really don't know how she got to that point with him. And she's sitting there a little too giddy for me. I'm like, are you really catching feelings, Justine? But Kendall in the Ghost, a.k.a. Isaiah, Isaiah starts talking about how his journey in here didn't start off strong, but he's trying to change his mindset essentially. And Kendall's like, yeah, we made mistakes from our last season, and we can kind of come into this season showing growth if it's genuine. But Isaiah says, like, yeah, over the last 3 years, I've been maturing a lot, which is what I told one of his fans on Twitter, because I tweeted something about, like, why the fuck are they still there? And it kind of blew up a little bit. And one of his fans was like, yeah, because, I mean, you don't know Isaiah. I'm like, I know Isaiah. I've watched every season of USA. He's not the same Isaiah that was on season 4. Season 4, he was definitely entertaining. On here, he is literally wallpaper, furniture. Like, go home. We'll see what happens with Sydney being in here now, but out of everybody this season so far, prior to Sydney coming in here, he's definitely been the most boring. But Tyrique and Justine, they're in soul ties now, checking up on each other's days and whatever. And he tells her she's a ray of sunshine. And she was like, I mean, I hope I rub off on you. And he's like, yeah, I hope you do rub up off on me. And you know what he's talking about. But she starts talking about how she's not mysterious. And he was like, well, you be saying stuff that makes it seem like you don't mean it. And it might be a defense mechanism, which it absolutely is. And she then says, like, she just wants to be transparent. And he's somebody that she would actually like to couple up with. But also, long pause, she tells him about her and Josh having a moment. And he's like, what moment? What does that mean? And she was like, we kissed. And he said, no fucking way. And I'm glad he confirmed it, because he definitely looked like he was a little bit affected. And I was like, Tyrique, not you catch your feelings, because this ain't the Tyrique that I know. But he said, like, I mean, because she was like, I ain't trying to toy with your feelings at this point. And he was like, I mean, I'll be all right. You just being honest. But he then asked, was it good? And she says, yes. When you're sharing a bed with somebody, it kind of just happened. And he was like, well, me and Lucinda was in the bed and we ain't kissed. But he then tells us that he was wondering why he cares so much. I was like, yeah, I was wondering too. Because you could tell he was low-key bothered. But he was like, I mean, he really didn't care when Andreina was kissing other people. But when he found out that Justine was kissing other people, he didn't like it. I said, interesting. But Josh and Andrea, they're downstairs. Well, they're actually upstairs talking now. And he's telling her that he wanted to be transparent with her about him and Justine kissing yesterday. And he was like, I mean, it was just unexpected. it was kind of like a what if factor. Like, we really have known each other for a while now. We really didn't look at each other like that, but it kind of was like a what if factor. And he said, I felt bad for not telling you earlier when you opened up telling me about you and Toby. And Andrea tells us, like, I mean, I'm going to always be honest. I don't blame him for kissing somebody that he's coupled up with. Like, at that point, you coupled up with her. You might as well see what's going on. And I say, hey, that's very mature, Andrea, because true. And I'm glad she's seeing it from that perspective, too, because it's like, he ain't really wrong for doing that. Granted, like, if you're going to state that you being transparent and you want transparency between the two of you, he definitely should have brought that shit up when she brought the shit up. But I don't feel like either one of them are wrong because you're doing what you're supposed to do. But she said what she said, and she was like, essentially, we can cancel it out. Like, I kissed Toby and you kissed her. We basically even at this point. And they both laughed it off. But Justine, she ends up getting a text letting them know that they have the heart rate challenge today. I said, this is early. But the couple that raises the most will become the power couple. The couple that raises the least will be vulnerable. They said the couple, but it was couples. But Lucinda, she's happy. She's like, this is finally a challenge that I know what to do. Yeah, because you done been on 2 seasons of Love Island prior to this one. But Nicola's happy and everybody starts practicing their moves. We get to the heart rate challenge and they have 1 minute and 45 seconds each to get to work. First up is Kendall and Garbi, and they have on nurse outfits. Garbi look good. That is a beautiful woman. But Kendall, he goes into his goofy route because, I mean, that's all you can really expect from Kendall because you think he gonna give off sex appeal? Like, but Garbi, like I said, Garbi did though. Garbi gave it off. But most of them were laughing at the performance. It was a smart approach. I feel like both of them definitely took the smart approach because the fastest way to get your heart rate up, in my opinion, is laughter. Like, when I be laughing, I be feeling like I can't even breathe sometimes. But most of them were laughing. Like I said, it was a good strategy. But Garbi pulls Isaiah down to the heart, but time was up. So they really didn't get to do shit, really. And I was like, they ain't gonna win. But Tyrique and Lucinda, these two. Tyrique was in, like, Western gear. Lucinda looked like a dominatrix. And Tyrique goes straight to KK and starts tonguing her down while Tyler Perry's sitting there talking about something. It's just a game. It's just a game. It's just a game. Yeah, because you bothered. You bothered. But Lucinda, she got on Isaiah. She was over there giving him the business and Johnny. Tyrique then gets over to Justine. She enjoyed it because it was their first kiss. And Tyrique brought KK and Justine down on that heart. Honestly, if you asking me, he was in menace mode. He was in Tyrique mode. I feel like he did that because he definitely wanted to do that with both of those girls, but he definitely did that to get Chris riled up. And you know, I was eating it up. Because I'm like, he probably over there bothered. But Lucinda ended up bringing Tyler Perry down there, so he didn't really get that much time to react. But Josh and Justine, they're up next. Josh is a pilot. Justine just looked good. She just looked good. I don't know what she was going for with her fit, but she looked good. But Josh was putting his junk all up in KK's head, put it all up on her head, all up in her face. Justine was giving Tyrique a dance, boy. A dance. Like, she put a lot of energy into that. He was feeling it, but he was trying to keep his heart rate down because he ain't trying to lose. Like, he ain't trying to lose, but he was feeling it. But Justine was like, I mean, he was putting in a lot of work, which he has been putting in work. But she was like, I'm going to give him something back. But she gets over there and starts sucking on Tyler Perry's finger, and Josh and Andrea, they get on the heart. And that was basically some soft core, you know what. Like, them two Josh was putting it on her. But Nicola and Isaiah, Nicola showed out. Nicola showed out. But he got on the clown fit. I don't know what Nicola had on, but she got out there and was having a ball. She turned it up. Isaiah got to tonguing down Justine, gave Andreina a hickey, and Nicola was all over Josh and Tyrique. And Nicola then goes to Tyler Perry. And if you asking me, he could not look more disinterested. I said he couldn't even hide it. Like, that right there was proof that like, it's performative. But Isaiah ends up getting Lucinda down there on the heart, and she felt that kiss. I said, uh-oh, Mert. Uh-oh. But Nicola's mad because she didn't get to kiss Chris because the time ran out. But KK and Tyler Perry, they come up. KK look good, looking like a kitty. Now, Chris in these booty shorts, nigga, what you got? What you got on? Looking crazy. But KK ends up pulling Josh to the heart, and she was throwing. She got on that pole, got to swing it. I was like, KK, have you had experience? But she got to bouncing that thing on Josh while Chris tried to pull a tie and get Andrea, Garbi, and Nicola down there on that heart. But he didn't get to do anything because the time ran out. But Andrea and Toby, they were up next. Andrea looked good. Toby was a conductor. Andrea, she was all over everybody. All over everybody. She wanted to win that challenge. Toby, the coldest, in my opinion, this is probably the coldest move out of everybody so far. He pulled Garbi, put her on his back, started squatting, and then put her back on Kendall. And while she's sitting on Kendall, he's tonguing her down, like right there on Kendall. I said, that's cold. That's cold. And then he did the same thing to KK with Chris sitting right there too. I said, that's right. That's right. But Andrea then brings Josh to the heart, but she ran out of time. And then Andreina and Johnny, the two sex kittens, the two sex fiends. He was a firefighter and she was the naughty schoolgirl, softcore, you know what. That's literally what it was with them two. He got Andrea up on his andreas, hiked her up, got her up over there and slammed her on that damn heart and got to giving it to her. And Andreina, she over there bouncing it on Toby. She threw it in Ty's face. She's sucking on his finger. Like, I'm like, they over here doing a lot. Josh ain't getting no love, though. Josh ain't getting no love. Johnny got Nicola down there at the end as well. But they sitting there thinking everything is done. They thinking everything is done. But here comes Marivn from Love Island France season 1. And Sydney from Love Island season 4 USA. Sydney, I don't want to say this as a man, but I'm just blunt. This is the Leo in me. She look a mess, honestly. The blonde hair is not it. The eyebrows, not it. They look gone. And I don't want to say this because it's gonna sound sound bad, but I liked her better with more weight on. Like I feel like she lost too much weight. That's all I'm gonna say. That's all I'm gonna say. But she comes in there and she says she hasn't seen Isaiah since they broke up, and Marvin's there for the money. He made it very clear. But Isaiah's squinting because everybody's looking. They're like, "Oh shit, here comes more people." But Isaiah can't tell that it's Sydney because she don't look the same. She does not look the same at all. And the fact that he hasn't seen her since they broke up, which I'm assuming was 2 or 3 years ago, it makes sense as to how he didn't even recognize her because she was unrecognizable. But he finally realizes it because Josh is like, I think that's Sydney. He's like, I don't think it is, but maybe it is. And then he realizes, yeah, it is her. So he was like, he didn't see it coming. But Marivn goes around scoping the scene, looking at all the girls. And he pulls Garbi up first to kiss. He then grabs KK and is like, I see you like tall guys. And she was like, yeah. And he starts kissing her. She was like, he's cute. She likes it. Maybe she'll work with him. Go ahead and go get up off of Tyler Perry and go get with Marivn. And we can root for that and we can send Chris home. But Sydney, she goes on over to the pole. Isaiah's body language, he looks very nervous, very tense. But Garbi noticed that too. But Sydney got to work on all the boys. And then she pulls up Isaiah and gives him the most awkward hug. Talking about surprise. I'm like, yeah, he probably a little bit confused about who he's looking at. But they finish and Lucinda ends up asking her, like, how do you know Zay? Like, how do you know Isaiah? And she's like, we used to date. And they like, oh. And Tyrique said, so you came here to get him back? And she said, I mean, I don't know, but chats definitely need to be had. I said, interesting. And if you take him back, if he already cheated on you, something wrong with you, Sydney. But we get the results. Chris, his heart rate was raised by Lucinda and Nicola, which I'm shocked because he was the only one that got 2 people. I'm like, was it literally matched at the same? But Tyrique's was raised by Garbi. That's interesting. Kendall's was raised by Lucinda. No shock there. Garbi, wake up. No shock there. But Toby, his was by Sydney. Josh's was by Nicola. Interesting. Isaiah's was by Garbi. Trying to think as I'm stating if this is interesting or not. I can't even remember what happened with theirs. Johnny's was by Lucinda. I wasn't shocked by that because Lucinda put it on him. KK's was by Toby. Considering what, yeah, I can see that. Okay, I can see that considering what he did. Lucinda's was by Isaiah. I can see that because he put her down there on that heart. Garbi's was by Tyrique. I can see that. Andrea's was by Johnny. Definitely can see that. Justine's was by Isaiah. I can see that. Nicola's was by Chris. Definitely can see that. Andreina's was by Marivn. We didn't really get to see Marivn with Andreina, but I mean, I guess I can see it. That's fresh meat coming in there. But the power couple that raised the most was obviously Nicole and Isaiah. If you kept tally with who raised who, the answer was clear. The vulnerable couples, though. Andrea and Toby, back in the bottom 3. KK and Tyler Perry, neither one of them raised anybody's, which I found interesting. Andreina and Johnny, the softcore, you know what? Johnny only raised Johnny was the only one that raised one out of their couple. That was interesting. That was interesting to me. So they are vulnerable. And we see in the sneak peek that tomorrow, Nicola and Isaiah, they're in the hideaway. For what? I don't know. But they're in there choosing 2 boys and 2 girls to duel. I'm like, Andreina, if they throw Andreina in there, she gonna lose. If they were smart, they would put Andrea up against KK, considering the fact that those are 2 of the strongest girls, and they would put Johnny in against Chris to make sure that Chris goes home. In my opinion, I feel like Chris would go home. Johnny is the best person to send Chris up out of there, if you asking me. But the ones I don't want to lose, though, I don't want to lose Johnny. I don't want to lose KK. I don't want to lose Toby, honestly. Like, that's a mess. But if you talk... And I don't want to lose Andrea. I know y'all don't like Andrea, but Andrea ain't really that bad to me. And she actually got a storyline going on. Y'all already know Tyler Perry can get to stepping. Andreina, I was gonna say she got storylines, but like Tyrique is off of her. The only storyline she got is Johnny. And I feel like if Andreina leaves, we get to see the real Johnny. And that's what I want to see. But if y'all are new here, hit subscribe. If you haven't already, do that. Thumbs up the video, drop the comments down below, subscribe if you're new, go follow my TikTok, it's in my bio, go do that real quick. I'm gonna drop a little clip over there tonight, and I'll see y'all tomorrow. And I believe me and Elise gonna go live on Wednesday, so stay locked to the channel, and I'll let y'all know if we do. But I'll see y'all tomorrow. Peace.